Another piece when it comes to the workplace are our employer benefits, the benefits we get from our employers, and most of us don't take full advantage of these benefits, which is unfortunate because there are so many in there that support our mental health. And as a licensed clinician and vice president of health transformations at Aon, Elisha Engelen is going to walk us through how we can maximize those benefits. She knows a thing or two about this, and so she's going to help us understand how we can get the most out of our company benefits when it comes to supporting our mental health. Please welcome, joining us live from Minneapolis, Elisha Engelen. Good afternoon, Elisha.
Good afternoon, Mark and David. Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. Take it away.
Awesome. So today has been a great dialogue, and I want to add to that, to the point that Mark introduced with benefits. One thing to consider, and what Aon's human capital leader has recently said, is that 83% of employees who are asked about their employer's responsibility for health and benefits or not, they said yes. 83% of employees say their employer has some responsibility for their health and well-being. That's up 3 points from year over year. That's staggering. That goes to say that the things that we're talking about today within the workplace are so critical, and that people are looking for that. Maybe in the past where they would have had or sought different independence, they're seeing the workforce as both impacting and ability to bring forth differences for them. So when we talk about benefits, first of all, I want to level set a couple things. One is mental health is health, so it's for everybody. And I think that's so key to know, because when I'm going to talk about a few things, I want to talk about the benefit landscape from prevention through treatment. So let's maintain people's health. That's great. Let's look at how do we help people achieve better health, and how do we help them sustain that. So that's a continuum across the board. And I think it's something that is really key, because many times people come to me and say, we have this crisis or we have this situation. Definitely will help you. And then how can we start to see that before that was coming? Sometimes you can't, sometimes you can. But as we've talked about here today, many of us have been directly impacted indirectly. And let's be honest, life changes very quickly, that you could be the person that needs this. So from a benefit standpoint, and you think about employers and you think about being a colleague in the workplace, a couple things to make note of that people have talked about today. When people ask to talk to you, they ask for your time, they ask for your attention, give it to them. And a couple things I'll say about that. So from a benefits perspective, I worked for a national carrier before I had an opportunity here to come at Aon. And what I'll tell you, and many people don't know this, is that your carriers, many of them have 24/7 crisis lines, ways to help people. And I was always surprised when I worked at that national carrier, how many times people go to the back of their card to actually get help. So as an employer, as an employee, think about how you can assure that there's going to be a front door for people through the benefit plan 24/7 through that health plan. The other thing I'll say too is that what I love that the carrier space is doing right now is they're looking at social determinants of health. Mark opened us up earlier talking about hope. This is a day of hope. When people aren't getting their food needs met, their employment needs met, their children's needs met, that reduces hope, that increases risk. And so making sure that when we're looking at total benefits, that we're looking at social determinants of health, because you can give people the best benefits, but if they have nowhere to get there, they can't pay for it, that's not going to be as helpful. With employee assistance program, they are phenomenal doors for people to go to. When we think about stigma, sometimes it's easier for people to go to EAP, sometimes not, versus their behavioral health plan. But you got to assure that your EAP has a means that if a crisis comes up, that people can be handed off or integrated into the system that will help them. The other piece that I want to mention too, when we think about benefits, it's so key that if you provide a benefit to an employee for musculoskeletal pain, making sure that that provider, that vendor has a process for if somebody says it's too much. Because we know when you have back pain, you are more at risk for depression, you're more at risk for depression, you're more at risk for suicidal ideation. The other piece from a benefit perspective is that when you have a tragedy in the workplace, someone has death by suicide, there's a shooting, making sure that those services for critical incident stress debriefing and disruptive event management are brought in, because if we don't help people, there's a risk for something more to happen. And that can be a very, very good way to help people. The last thing I'll say is around culture. So many of my colleagues and now new friends have talked about this. Culture is the glue that brings us together or it keeps us apart. And so helping your leaders be empathetic, helpful, resourceful, because those benefits can be there, but if there's no one there to help them get there, that won't help very much. Reducing stigma. And then also, as you're looking at your benefits, and I talk to many people about benefits and spending money on benefits and how are they going to go for this next option. If it's in a business imperative, it's helpful. Your talent are the most important people and their families. Taking care of them and doing that from a business point of view is smart, and it's the right thing to do for people.